Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're here at Mansells Raceway once again. Nice sunny day, back for another test day. So hopefully today will be pretty decent. I'm not running a correct setup, to be honest, only going for a bit of fun, just have a bit of a blast, really get back into it. So yeah, just about to go out for the first practice, so it's a bit of a rush intro, but let's just jump straight into it and see how it goes then. So here we go for the first test session then. As you can see, I'm once again using the face and back at driver camera angle, just because I know a few people liked it last time. So we head out on track then for the first time at Mansells Raceway of the day. As you can see, we straight away get on to business and start getting up to speed pretty quickly, to be honest. And actually a few corners later, I actually managed to straight away get past someone down the inside here onto the back straight here, so we just fly past him very nicely. He was going quite slowly trying to warm up his tyres. Mine warmed up pretty quickly actually, because we were running quite low tyre pressures, which was quite good, but nevertheless we managed to keep pushing on and actually find pace straight away, whereas everyone else, as you can see behind me, actually struggled to get the tyres heated up. So we cut to a couple laps later where we actually start pushing a little bit more now, and we're starting to catch up to the back of the 88 car, and we actually decided to go right around the outside of him into this next hairpin section very nicely and make the mistake very good there. Somehow I managed to make that work. I don't really know how, but I'll take it nevertheless. So I'm going to actually keep a full lap in of this next lap now from this cam angle, just because it was a pretty decent lap and it will be quite interesting to see the whole lap through this camera angle. So we come through the chicane section now and we start the new lap now as we run down towards turn 1. As you can see, I actually took it pretty badly actually there, hit the inside curb, which you're not meant to do. The curbs here are actually massive, so if you hit them they can kick you up a bit in the air, so you don't really want to be touching them whatsoever. As we fly through this next section, as you can see, Peter actually goes a little bit wide here and we get around him very nicely there. He was actually waving to one of the marshals there because he actually works at Mansells, so he's just having a little bit of fun and I decided to send it down the inside. As you can see, it's quite interesting seeing people follow along behind you and actually following a little bit of a train here from this camera angle as we head down towards the hairpin section once again. Now we get a pretty decent exit out of here. Now we're going to run down towards a quick right left-handed chicane section as we take it very nicely there and get a pretty decent exit, and that is a whole lap here at Mansells from this camera angle. So now we're going to cut towards the end of the session. I actually didn't notice, but the car behind me, car 18, was actually really flying here and actually catch me very quickly as we're going to use a bit of human DRS down the start finish straight. So yeah, like I said, I didn't know car 18 was behind me, so when I came out of turn 1, got a pretty terrible exit compared to him, and then he absolutely sends it down the inside of me into the complex section. Luckily I see him in time and move out the way, so wasn't too bad, but nevertheless, like I said, I was only doing half day on this test day, not a full day, because I got work in the afternoon, so I didn't really think about changing the setup and changing the sprocket and all that, because a recommended sprocket around here is about 80, 81, and I was running a 74, so that's mainly my clay setup I was using really, but I didn't really want to change it just for half a day, just to change it back for next week at clay. But nevertheless, we actually cut towards the end of the session now as we come down the start finish straight for the final time, and we get checker flags now, and that is the end of the session. So yeah, not too bad of a session. I mean, just a bit of testing really, just going for laps and getting used to this track again. For IKR, obviously they only run once a month for test days, so you don't get as much practice here as we could at clay, but nevertheless, now we head back into the pits and get ready for the next session then. So now we move on to session number 2. As you can see, we jump straight back in the car. Again, I kept it on the same sprocket. I did decide after this session that I would change it to an 80, just for the fact that sadly it was pretty hard to drive and keep up with people with a 75 sprocket. I said 74 before, I meant 75. So yeah, it was tricky to get out the corners, to be honest. Obviously the lower sprocket you have, so like a 75, would be quicker down the straights, but it would be really slow out of corners. An 80 would be much quicker out the corners. So yeah, coming out the corners I was really struggling. But obviously, like I said, I gotta just push through it for this session. Like I said, I was gonna do it for the whole day, just keep it on a 75. But I've decided now that it's kind of better to just change it and get it changed over. And also, it was because one of the juniors, Sam, who was actually going to be testing my kart for a session a bit later, wanted to try it on a bit of a better setup, so that was fair enough and understandable. Nevertheless though, we did catch down this guy just ahead of us, and we get a pretty decent exit out of here and actually get blocked up a little bit because someone tries to go down the inside of me. So eventually I do get the chance to go down the inside of him into the chicane, but losing a position because of it. But nevertheless, we try and keep up with him as he's a guy that's pretty quick around here, so maybe we could try and follow some lines and see what we can do. But straight away you can see there my kart was just so much more twitchy out of the corner compared to him, and a lot more slower, so it was very difficult to keep up with him, to say the least. But nevertheless, we're trying our best. But yeah, not much really happened in this session. We sort of just went around, did some laps. We did get overtaken a few times, as you can see the cart's ahead of us there, but we're coming into the pits now, as that is session 2 over and done with. And now I guess we have to just hope that in session 3 we can find a little bit more pace with a bit of a setup change. Alright boys, so we're just changing the sprocket over, as our sprocket is at 75 and usually around here it's recommended around about 80. So finally changing it. Only was going to be doing it for a bit of fun today, but I've decided it's bogging way too much out of corners. I need it a bit quicker, so we're going for the 80 or the 79, close enough to 80. So yeah, hopefully now we can get a little bit quicker and be a little bit more on pace, but let's just jump straight into it. So now we head out on track once again now for session 3. To be honest, this one was pretty quiet. I mean, not much really happened. As you can see, I came out track a little bit late due to the fact that I had to change a few things, like I said, on the setup, so it took a little bit longer than what we thought. But like I said, not much really happened. We kind of just did laps. We were a lot more quicker, and I could tell we were a lot more quicker out of the corners. Obviously down the straights we lost a little bit of time just for the fact that we were on a 75 sprocket last time and now we're on 80, so we're obviously going to be a little bit slower. But like I said, it felt a lot more better overall throughout the corners. So yeah, like I said, we kind of just stayed out of the way of everyone and we're kind of in our own space on the track. We saw a couple people, just like this guy just ahead of us, but he soon pulled away. I did find that a lot of people are on new D5s or, well, new and Mojo's tyres compared to my older Maxi tyres that I won't be using anymore, so it was a little bit difficult to keep up with people and try and follow lines and stuff. But nevertheless, I think we could work more on the setup as well, just to find a bit of a better setup. But that is the end of this session. Like I said, not much really happened. We kind of just stayed in our own clean air. But now we head into the pits and get ready for the next session, I guess. Yo boys, about to go back out on track. Just got the juniors out on track right now. It's going to be pretty sick. Got the cart on the floor, so yeah, let's do it. So here we go for the next session then. So at this point my tyres were pretty done for. Obviously this is the tyres that I used for IKR round 1 and round 2 last month, so I thought I'd just use them up for the rest of this session and the rest of this day. And yeah, at this point they're pretty dead. I did get past one person here, the kart 88, just coming up to the complex section, just coming on to the back straight now. We did get a better exit and just made it through nicely there. But yeah, other than that, again, not really much to go through. Again, we're losing a bit of time with the older tyres, whilst everyone else had newer tyres and actually D5s compared to my older Maxis. So yeah, it was a bit of a struggle to keep up with everyone. But like I said, it was just a test session and a test day really. We didn't really plan on being competitive or anything. We just wanted to have a bit of fun, just get used to handling with the kart and try and tweak new little setups in here and there. So yeah, we just carried on really. Took some pretty decent lines, tried to follow a few people as well, because I know that a few people work here and are a lot more quicker than me around here, so I wanted to try and see what braking points and lines they were taking. But nevertheless, we come up through the final chicane for the final time then to finish off our session once again. So yeah, alright session, just doing laps again basically and just trying to keep up with people, but that is the end of that session. Bit of a change now. I'm going to be going out in the number 67 of Mr. Peter's kart. A friend of ours, Sam, is going to be racing my kart for the next test session, and I'm going to be racing Peter's just for a bit of fun, as Peter's wanted to miss out the next one. So yeah, be quite interesting, but let's do this. So here we go for the session in Peter's kart then. As soon as I jumped in, I realised that I am a lot more smaller than Peter, so reaching the pedals was straight away a bit of a difference. Obviously, I've driven this kart before, so I kind of have a little bit of experience driving it, but not a lot. And straight away, as soon as we started coming out of the pits then, I realised that this kart handles a lot more differently compared to mine. As you can see, my kart is also going out there, Sam just ahead of me. So yeah, it was a lot more different to drive Peter's kart compared to mine. The brakes, steering and everything felt so much more different. The steering actually felt a lot more heavier on Peter's, so it was a lot more tricky trying to get used to that. And obviously the setup changed as well compared to mine. He was on a completely different sprocket, so it was a bit more difficult to say the least to try and get used to the setup in one session. But nevertheless, we started pushing on straight away. I do have to say at this point that I was feeling like my kart handled a little bit more better. Obviously Peter would probably think vice versa as well, because obviously his kart is set up to him and my kart is set up for me. So yeah, it was a bit strange changing karts like this, but nevertheless we carried on anyway. We were keeping up with people pretty decently. Sam was actually just ahead there holding a few people up, so that's pretty decent from him. Obviously it was his first time in a senior Rotax kart, so it was a lot more of a different experience for him. And well, it was really good to see that he was actually staying competitive and keeping up with people, so that was really good. As you can see, we got overtaken down the inside there by the kart who was just behind me. I can't quite see what number that was, but nevertheless we are changing to the inside helmet cam, as sadly the GoPro ran out on the radiator box. As you can see, Sam in my kart just goes a little bit wide there, just slides off, so we managed to get down the inside very nicely there. Obviously he is going to make a few mistakes of that, being in my kart that is nowhere near set up for him, and take it from a guy who's driving a kart that's not set up for him, it's a lot more tricky compared to driving your own kart, and especially that he was in a senior Rotax for the first time as well. But nevertheless, that was the end of that session. Pretty decent to say the least, but I guess now we move on to our final session back in my own kart of the day then. It's so hard, man. Alright boys, we're just having a lunch break with the man Mr. Peter. Some pretty decent testing today. I'm going to be out in my own kart again, once again now. Obviously, was out in Peter's. Was good fun. A lot more different handling wise compared to my kart. The brakes were especially a thing that I noticed. Peter's brakes are a lot more, well, go a lot more further down than mine, let's just say that. But yeah, the steering was another one. His was quite more harder to handle, mine's quite soft, so yeah, a little bit more work, but I'll take it. Nevertheless, we're going to be going back out with my car now, so yeah, one more session to do as I got to leave for work again sadly, but let's do this. And we go once again then for the final session of the day, and this was my favourite one to be honest, as a few things happen. Not massive amount of things, but just a few little things that made it a little bit more interesting out of the whole day. So yeah, as you can see, we came out right in the middle of the pack, actually out ahead of a few of the really quick guys, so I straight away knew that I was going to get absolutely dominated on this first lap and the first few laps, so I kind of just knew it was going to happen and sort of just let it happen. As you can see, someone goes right around the outside of me there, which is the car 25, as he just takes it very nicely around the outside. And then coming down towards the hairpin section, another guy decides to send it down the side of me. So yeah, that's 2 places lost already. But obviously, this is only testing, I was only in it for a little bit of fun. As you can see, in towards turn 1, the kart 88 actually gets pushed a little bit wide there and gets a massive amount of oversteer. So we do get past him very nicely. It'll be quite interesting to practice battling with some really quick guys around here, to be honest, and try and keep up with a little bit of pace, hopefully. But next we have Peter just ahead of us, as we'll cut to a couple laps later where we just get on the back of him here. Coming in towards turn 1, we get a pretty decent exit, as you can see, taking it very nicely at a lot more speed than what Peter did. And then down into the complex section, we'll go for a massive send down the inside and make the move stick very nicely on him. So yeah, I want to try and follow some lines from other people now and try and keep it of other people other than just the people we usually do or being clean air. So as you can see, we do have another 177 just ahead of me who will actually catch down very quickly there. I think he was just trying to get his tyres warmed up because he was really struggling through that complex section there, as you saw, as we head in towards the final hairpin section then. And we get a really good exit here and actually make it past him very nicely down the inside just before the chicane section, but for some reason he decides to completely cut the chicane instead of backing out, so that doesn't really help my chances at all, as I wanted to try and get a bit of clean air and try and follow other people, but nevertheless we'll try and catch back up with him very nicely out of the final corner there in towards the complex section. As you can see, he goes massively wide there. I don't really know what was going on there, but we get a much better exit coming on to the back straight once again and actually get a bit of slipstream, dive it down the inside of him nicely in towards the next hairpin section and made the move stick very nicely. And as you can see, someone actually punched me from behind there. Someone else tries to go around the outside, so I don't really know what was going on there, but it wasn't ideal, and I actually damaged my bumper, so we actually lost a bolt on one of the bumpers, so it was actually dragging on the floor at this point, which I didn't actually know until the end of the day. But the next part that I really did was actually get a little pose for this photo here, just for a little bit of fun and a new profile photo on Facebook and Instagram and even on YouTube as well. So yeah, that was quite interesting to say the least. But yeah, that rounded up our day at Mansells doing a whole test day. So if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like and subscribe. But thank you for watching and goodbye.